Today, we'll tell you the names of countries that still ban Facebook or did in the past, just so you know which countries not to go to if you can't live without social media. Number 10, North Korea. Perhaps the most secretive country in the world, little is known about internet access in Kim Jong-un's nation, although a new 3G network is available to foreign visitors. For the majority of the population, the internet is off limits, but this doesn't seem to bother many who, not knowing any different, enjoy the limited freedoms offered to them by the country's intranet, Kwangmyong, which appears to be mostly used to post birthday messages. A limited number of graduate students and professors at Pyongyang University of Science and Technology do have access to the internet from a specialist lab, but in fear of the outside world, many choose not to use it. Others in North Korea might feel like discrimination is being done by giving some people access to the internet, but since they never really used it, we doubt they'll react. We're sure that the students and professors must feel like gangsters while using the internet and having access to social media sometimes. Number 9, Iran. In Iran, however, political leaders have taken to social media despite both Facebook and Twitter officially being extraordinarily difficult to access in the country. Even President Hassan Rouhani has his own Twitter account, although apparently he doesn't write his tweets, but access to these accounts can only be gained via a proxy server. Facebook was initially banned in the country after the 2009 election amid fears that opposition movements were being organized via the website. But things may be beginning to look up, as Iran's cultural minister Ali Jannati recently remarked that social networks should be made accessible to ordinary Iranians. Number 8, China. The Great Firewall of China, a censorship and surveillance project run by the Chinese government, is a force to be reckoned with, and behind this wall sits the likes of Facebook. The social media site was first blocked following the July 2009 Urumqi riots after it was perceived that Xinjiang activists were using Facebook to communicate, plot, and plan. Paranoid much? Since then, China's ruling Communist Party has aggressively controlled access to social media and the internet, regularly deleting posts and blocking access to websites it simply does not like the look of. Technically, the ban on Facebook was lifted in 2013, but only within a 17-square-mile free trade zone in Shanghai and only to make foreign investors feel more at home. After all, they do need investors. For the rest of China, it is a waiting game to see if the ban lifts elsewhere. Instead of Facebook, people in China use WeChat, that has become their most significant social media platform. WeChat combines features of Facebook's Messenger with the utility of Venmo and PayPal, which allows users to express opinions in group chats. Number 7, Cuba. Facebook isn't officially banned in Cuba, but it sure is difficult to access it. Only politicians, some journalists, and medical students can legally access the web from their homes. So if you love social media and might want a job in Cuba, know what professions to choose. For everyone else, the only way to connect to the digital world and social media legally is via internet cafes. This may not seem much to ask, but when rates for an hour of unlimited access to the web cost between $6 and $10 and the average salary is around $20, getting online becomes ridiculously expensive. We don't think you can access social media unless you are super rich. High costs also don't equal fast internet, as web pages can take several minutes to load. Definitely not value for money for the Caribbean country. Number 6, Bangladesh. The posting of a cartoon to Facebook saw the networking site shut down across Bangladesh in 2010. Satirical images of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, along with some of the country's leaders, saw one man arrested and charged with spreading malice and insulting the country's leaders. The ban lasted for an entire week while the images were removed. Well, we think they had the right reason to ban Facebook, and it was just a week nevertheless, unlike some other countries where you can't access Facebook for your whole life. Since then, the Awami League-led government has directed a surveillance campaign at Facebook and other social networking sites looking for blasphemous posts. Number 5, Egypt. As Egyptians took to the streets in 2011 in an attempt to overthrow the regime of Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, the government cut off access to a range of social media sites, as well as preventing protesters from using the likes of Facebook to foment unrest. Many websites registered in Egypt could no longer be accessed by the outside world. Twitter, YouTube, Hotmail, Google, and a proxy service, which would have allowed Egyptians to get around the enforced restriction, seemed to be blocked from inside the country. That might have been a difficult period, having no access to the sites whatsoever. The ban lasted for several days, but eventually the ban was lifted, so all is good. Number 4, Syria. Syria dealt with the Arab Spring in a different manner. Facebook has been blocked in the country since 2007 as part of a crackdown on political activism as the government feared Israeli infiltration of Syrian social networking sites. In an unprecedented move in 2011, President Bashar al-Assad lifted the 5-year ban in an apparent attempt to prevent unrest on his own soil following the discontent in Egypt and Tunisia. During the ban, Syrians were still able to easily access Facebook and other social networking sites using proxy servers. No surprise here, since we all know that Syria isn't an ideal place to visit either. People have much bigger concerns there than having access to the internet. Number 3. Mauritius. Producing fake online profiles of celebrities is something of a hobby to some people. However, when a Facebook page proclaiming that to be of Mauritius Prime Minister Naveen Ramgoolam was discovered by the government in 2007, the entire Mauritius Facebook community was plunged into darkness. The Information and Communication Technologies Authority, ICTA of Mauritius, ordered internet service providers of the country to ban Facebook on immediate effect. Access to Facebook was restored the next day. Number 2. Vietnam. During a week in November 2009, Vietnamese Facebook users reported an inability to access the website following weeks of intermittent access. Reports suggested technicians had been ordered by the government to block the social networking site with a supposedly official decree leaked on the internet. The government denied deliberately blocking Facebook, although access to the site today is still hit and miss in the country. Alongside this, what can be said on social networking sites like Facebook has also become limited. Decree 72, which came into place in September 2013, prohibits users from posting links to news stories or other news-related websites on social media sites. Number 1. Eritrea. You might have not heard about this place. The major reason of this is because even Google does not include Eritrea on its list of countries in the Transparency Report. Shocking, right? Eritrea is routinely listed as one of the most censored places in the world. Some users familiar with Eritrea have said that the site is not blocked, but instead often inaccessible due to lack of bandwidth. A spokesperson for Freedom House, which found that the site was blocked when investigators put together the 2013 report, said that since Eritrea has one of the worst infrastructures in Africa, it is possible that some ISPs deliberately block services that require a lot of bandwidth to allow other traffic to be more stable. He also noted that the government's poor human rights record indicates that the inaccessibility of YouTube could be related to censorship.